The Catechism of the Catholic Church reminds us that there are 4 different kinds of prayer in the Christian tradition: prayers of praise and adoration, prayers of thanksgiving, prayers of contrition, of sorrow for our sins, and prayers of petition. These 4 forms of prayer are reflected also, a reflection of the tradition of prayer and sacrifices at the temple in Jerusalem. These forms of prayer are rooted in the ancient Judeo-Christian tradition of encountering God in daily life. Prayers of praise, adoration, prayers of praise and adoration go hand in hand. And I think it's important for us to look at each form of these prayers. Prayers of praise and adoration express praise and honor to God. We praise God for giving us life, for the wonder and beauty of our world, and for the many blessings that we enjoy. We open ourselves to praise God for all the wonders of creation. There's a difference between praise and thanksgiving. We oftentimes confuse those two in our prayer. Thanksgiving, of course, is thanking God for the blessings that we have received. But praising God is something quite different. It's about glorifying God for who God is without ever receiving anything from Him. Prayers of thanksgiving help us to be grateful for the many gifts that God has given to us, and helps us to recognize and appreciate all the good that God is doing for us. Opening our hearts to praise and thank God for His gifts, the gift of life, the gift of our families, our friends, the gift of food and clothing and shelter, and the numerous other gifts that we often take for granted. Those we gather in our own lives to this place. And so our lives are the foundation for our prayer here. We also engage in prayers of petition, and they maybe are the easiest and best prayers, the easiest way for us to engage in that. We kind of storm the gates of heaven with all of our intentions, telling God exactly what we need. Prayers of petition, of course, are a holy thing. We stand before the Lord and pray for ourselves and for those who are dear to us, as the liturgy says. Prayers of petition are a source of blessing that begs God's blessings upon ourselves, upon our families, upon others, upon our church and the world. Devotion to the Blessed Mother and the saints encourages us to see in them intercession, all the holy men and women who have gone before us in the tradition of the church. Such prayer can bring us great strength and courage, and also great peace of mind, knowing that we have in the saints great advocates before the throne of God. Prayer of petition is maybe our most familiar kind of prayer. Prayers of petition serve to remind us that God expects us to care for one another. We don't just pray for ourselves. We pray for our families, our friends, and the world. Prayers of petition remind us of our responsibility to care for others. We pray about the ordinary experiences of our life, for people who are sick, for someone who needs a job, for help in our schoolwork, for safety on a trip. We pray for peace in our families and in our world. Prayers of contrition are equally important. One of the earliest saints instructs his followers to repeatedly say the prayer that the tax collector in the 18th chapter of Matthew's Gospel prayed quietly, standing off to the side, almost hidden from the world. Have mercy on me, O God, for I am a sinner. We would do well to repeat this prayer many times each day. Prayers of contrition recognize that we oftentimes make choices that diminish ourselves, wound our neighbors, and offend God. Prayers of contrition, demand that we take responsibility for our own actions and lay our sorrow for our bad choices before the mercy of God. It's a wonderful gesture that we use when we say the Confiteor of Mass. My fault, my most grievous fault. We admit it by striking ourselves that this is my sin. In the Mass, if we were to take the Mass apart, we can see that these 4 forms of prayer are everywhere scattered throughout the liturgy. In the Gloria and the Creed, for instance, we give glory and honor and praise to God. We name His great attributes. We honor His name, and we thank and praise the wonders that God has done for us. We make a self-accusation when we call out for God's mercy at various times especially at the penitential rite of Mass. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Intercession, prayers of petition, are also a huge part of what we do when we gather here together, especially in the universal prayers or the prayers of petition, kind of at the heart of the Mass. We articulate the needs of the church. We make intercessions for our families, our nation, leaders of our nation, its leaders and its people. We pray especially for the dead. The great Eucharistic prayer, that long prayer that the priest prays standing at the altar, contains every single one of these prayer forms: praise and thanks, petition and contrition. It also invites us to recognize that in Jesus Christ, God has given us the greatest gift. That really is the heart of the Eucharistic prayer. It calls out to God, thanking Him for the gift of Jesus Christ. The opening prayer and the prayer that sends us forth at the end of Mass often speaks about the fruits of our prayer together. The challenge, of course, is to be ever more aware of what we do. So when you come into church and you kneel down for a few minutes just before you begin Mass, it's important to use these prayers to form our intention for Mass. What are the things that I need to ask God's forgiveness for today? What are the things I need, and who are the people that I need to pray for today? What are the blessings that God has given to me that I should be thankful for today? What are the things that I need to praise God for? The beauty and change of the seasons and the beauty of creation. How do we use those things to glorify God for His many gifts? So those few moments that you come in here, it's not just to look around, it's not just to impress anyone else, it's to take those minutes before Mass to focus ourselves so that when we get to those points of the Mass, we actually engage in them intellectually and spiritually. So we actually, when the priest says, let us call to mind our sins, we do that. And then we beg for God's mercy as we sing out. When we say the Gloria together, not during Lent, but when we say the Gloria together, that we glorify God for His blessings. When the priest prays at the altar, join him in praising God for the gift of Jesus Christ, for begging for mercy, for engaging in the life that He has given to us. In the ancient tradition of the church calls this contemplative prayer. We sit calmly, without jittery nervousness. We compose ourselves. The life of prayer demands discipline, and so we have to kind of sit quietly. Sitting here and standing quietly is part of the contemplative action that we have here. We try to avoid distractions that can lead us away from the heart of the Mass and the prayers. Try not to daydream, and for God's sake, don't glance at your cell phone to see if you have any messages. We should avoid the chatter that sometimes comes into our homes and into our lives. It destroys our thoughtfulness, and it also distracts others. There's no need to speak to others during Mass. This is a very acoustically alive church building, and St. Joe's is even more so. So anyone sitting back here and here that speaks during Mass, I can hear every word they say at the altar here. At St. Joe's, the choir loft is far away, but you can, people think, well, let's go up there and we'll get the kids out of the way. I can hear stop, take that out of your mouth. Stop hitting your sister. I can hear that at the altar when parents discipline their children. It's an amazing thing. So it's a chance for us to be quiet. Contemplative prayer invites us to close our eyes sometimes and avoid distractions. We, of course, love having babies here in our church. You've heard me say it over and over again. Every little squeak and every little peep is important to us. It teaches us the beauty of human life. It's wonderful that we have children come here, and it's even important for us to be patient with it when children get a little bit antsy. But we also need to recognize the fact that no one comes here to listen to a baby screaming because they haven't had breakfast before they come here, or because their diapers are dirty. So if a child is disruptive, we have this beautiful narthex. You can hear and see everything that's happening here. We have the same thing at St. Joe's. So if your baby is causing a fit, take them to the back for a few minutes. Take them and let them move a little bit at the back end of the church, the back end of the transepts of the church. We love having babies here, but it's important to recognize the fact that sometimes I spend several days each week working on my homilies, and a child is screaming so loud that I can't be heard or that you can't concentrate on the readings. It's important for our own prayer and contemplation that this place be as quiet as possible. Monks and nuns throughout the world and throughout history of the church are skilled in contemplative prayer. They spend hours morning, noon, and night praying. We don't need to do that to make our lives fruitful. We can seek the wisdom of monks and nuns by praying thoughtfully and deliberately here. May God be glorified in the time we spend together here each week. May our lives be transformed by his loving and merciful care.